The Jake Asman Show will begin shortly. Thanks to all these great Patreon members who help support the show. Get your super chats ready. Jake will be here in just a moment. If you love the New York Jets, this is the place to be. And now, the Jake Asman Show.
The New York Jets have officially interviewed their first GM candidate. We'll talk about that, plus the latest developments with the entire search as a whole. Robby Sabo will join us in his weekly spot on the show. It is the Jake Asman Show. Let's hit it and get it started. Man. This is the same old Jets. We have Aaron freaking Rodgers. We had Garrett Wilson. We have Breece Hall. Please subscribe and hit the like button below. Super chat, baby. Cut the line. We have Sauce Gardner. We have Quinnen Williams. Now it's time to talk all things New York Jets. It's the Jake Asman Show. Here we go, Jet fans. Welcome in, everybody. Appreciate you supporting the channel. As always, please click the like button and subscribe if you haven't done so already. We are presented today by SeatGeek. Promo code Jake Asman will get you $20 off your first SeatGeek purchase. So if you're looking for tickets for the Jets and the Rams on Sunday or any sporting event or concert in the tri-state area, use SeatGeek as your go-to ticketing app. Joining us right now in his weekly spot is our dear friend, the co-founder of JetsXFactor.com, a New York State champion high school football coach. Robby Sabo joins us now. What's up, Robby?
Champion, yes, sir. Kids knocked it out of the park. Port Jervis, New York, shout out. Same old stuff. Jets win. How did you feel? Were you on the Beningo train? I caught most of his appearance yesterday where he was pumped up and happy to see a win.
You know what? To me, I have been kind of indifferent. But I won't lie, it's nice to be talking about a win. It's nice to have some sort of renewed optimism towards, hey, maybe, with the right coach and Aaron Rodgers here next year, this team could win. Even if it's just a week and it's short-lived and they play a much better team, of course, on Sunday in the Rams and they go back to being the Jets. Nice to see a win. Nice to see Devontae do what he did. So, yeah, I enjoyed it. Mac Jones is a punk. Let's call it for what it is. So nice to see the Jets finally beat him.
I think the greatest positive is Beningo getting into the zone, and he's in the zone. I know, at least personally, when he so eloquently says, stick it up your ass more than once in one spot, and he was on fire. Stick it up your ass to Belichick, and then what was the other one? The Dolphins, I think. That loss right there.
I think also the Jet fans who are rooting for the loss for tanking purposes, which, by the way, if you watch the Raiders play last night and you watch the Giants play at all this year, the Jets have no chance of getting in the top two. So I will simply ask again, Jet fans who want this team to lose, who are you tanking for? This is not last year where you had a pretty good idea who the top players are. You have no clue. And if you think about it, if the Jets aren't in position to get one of the top two quarterbacks, and they're likely not going to take an offensive lineman with their first round pick, and one of the linemen is projected to be, top five guy. I think the kid from either LSU or Ohio State, I forget which school,
Mm-hmm.
right? You kind of go through it. The Jets are still going to get a chance to pick one of the first non-quarterback or offensive line players, no matter where they end up. So I'm not worried about the draft in December. They got to get the GM hire right, and that guy should be able to find talent no matter where he's picking in the top 10.
If you want to take it on a binary, and it doesn't have to be a binary, but if you do that, tanking, be on board for the tanking, better draft position, or winning and improving your chances and feeling good and finding the right guy and maximizing your options with Rodgers included, not just Rodgers, other options, maximizing, rooting for that, the winning, the feeling good, and finding the right people to lead the organization, that is so more important than a couple draft positions in the top 10. I'm sorry.
No doubt.
It's not even
I'm right
close.
there with you. Yeah. It just, we've seen the Jets have top picks before and they blow it, right? Dude. Haven't we learned? Learned, people?
Yeah, like Joe B said, it's not where you pick, it's who you pick. I'll go a step further. It's who's picking for you. That's what matters the most. So if you want to root for anything, root for success down the stretch so they find the right head coach and GM. And I think head coach is way more important, actually, in today's game. How Kirk Cousins is playing with zero confidence. It goes to show you, and how Darnold is playing goes to show you how good Kevin O'Connell is. To me, Raheem Morris has taken the ball out of Cousins' hands in a lot of ways and destroyed his confidence. Yeah, he's dealing with the Achilles too, but that is exhibit A in terms of what the Jets have to learn from in terms of their mistakes. I think sprinkle Salah in there with Zach Wilson. And I'm not saying, Zach was the Messiah, but they didn't do him any favors. And what they're going to look for moving forward.
Hit the like button if you're tuning in. Please subscribe to the channel as well. For every membership gifted, you get your name added to the raffle. We did a huge raffle yesterday. 2 Aaron Rodgers jerseys. Congrats to listener Devin and Jimmy for winning those. Hey, Jimmy, I don't have your info. I don't know if you're on Discord. I checked. I couldn't find you. So if you're watching this, Jimmy, reach out so I can send you your Rodgers jersey. Devin already got his info, so we'll get his jersey sent out this week. Our next 2 giveaways will feature the Jets surfboard, baby. Yeah, Cowabunga, dude. And then, of course, I've been teasing it for about a week now, the Super Bowl III photo for you to hang up in your man cave. We'll do giveaways all month long. Every $20 super chat is worth 5 raffle ticket entries. And, of course, every membership gifted, that's how many raffle entries you get. Shout out to our guy, J-Mags. He's out on the West Coast. He's up early watching the show. He gave us a 5-spot of channel memberships.
It's the Asmaniac membership raffle. For every membership gifted, you receive 1 ticket entered in the raffle to win epic prizes.
The season of giving. John, Bronx Animal, AJ, Deroyd, and Sodak Jets all receiving channel memberships. We're pretty close to getting another emoji as well. So we're going to work on that Peter Castro emoji for those who caught the show yesterday. Robbie, we got a lot to get into regarding this general manager search, and we'll get to it. But I want to get your thoughts in depth on what you saw from this offense on Sunday. We have Andrew Fialco, your guy at JetX, joining us for the film review at 4 p.m. today. But I watched Aaron Rodgers for the second week in a row play like a top 10 quarterback in the league. And I get it. Jacksonville's defense stinks. They do have some good pass rushers, but the Jets' offensive line played really well again in protection. What did you make of Rodgers' performance? This is now 2 really good games in a row when it felt like after that Seahawks game, there'd be no way he's here next year. Now, I mean, look, we at least have to have the conversation with 3 games to go.
Similar to the Cousins thought, Rodgers has not been put in a good position. And that's factual. It's not a good position. He's overcoming the Achilles. The naysayers will say, hey, he's playing better in the state of Florida, the warm weather, for sure. Granted, that is a big part of it. Jacksonville stinks, no question. But at the same time, it's not as though the Jets have a running attack. They don't have any visualized conception of how their rushing attack should be either. And they didn't even have it going into the year, which is the scary thing. They thought they did. We all thought they did, but they didn't. It wasn't even close. So the coaching from an O-line perspective really holds the offense back. I think pass protecting has been solid for the most part, but that's more Rodgers. Rodgers can control that a lot more than the rushing attack. I mean, pre-snap checks where he sees the C gap open on one side, he could change things up and get a couple yards out of that. But pass pro, that's his bread and butter. And, the Devontae down the middle touchdown in the fourth quarter, Tampa 2 all the way. That's Rodgers being a wily vet. Pre-snap motion, it helps him discover that it's going to be zone. They don't react crazy. And Tampa 2 is a 3 deep. And in the middle third, that linebacker is going to be trailing. There's no way around it. He's going to be trailing. So as a vet quarterback, he knows what are the cover guys' most critical weapon, and that is their eyes. And when you're a trailing linebacker in that Tampa 2 deep middle third, you could rip it. And as long as those safeties widen out, you could rip it and rip it good. And he ripped it. So, Rodgers, he could still play. I mean, I've been on that train. He could still play. But I'm also on the train that I'm not going to go crazy about Rodgers. I don't worry about whether he's going to come back or not. I just care about getting the right leaders in the organization. And if they do that, the Rodgers issue will take care of itself.
When you say it will take care of itself, you mean having those leaders ultimately decide what they believe is best for the team going forward?
Yes, that and Rodgers' own personal preference. For all we know, he's already gone in his mind. Now, that's not to say winning doesn't matter to him. I think another huge takeaway is 3-10. Jags, Jets going nowhere. The broadcasters don't really care. They got the freaking F team on Fox. It's so crazy. Fox broadcasting 2 AFC teams, by the way. But Schlereth, I love Schlereth. I don't mean to, and I think it was Chris Myers too, right?
It was Schlereth and Myers. Yep.
That's crazy. I mean, they got crazy depth if those are, the D or E team or whatever. But yeah, the fans don't care. Some players don't even care. Yet you could see in Rodgers' face, Devontae Adams' face after the game, it matters to him. And, say what you want about Rodgers. He's got many flaws. And I think he'd even admit to some of those flaws, but it still mattered to him. And that's important to me.
I agree with you. I think no one talks about that. The fact that this guy, was playing through what he was playing through, wants to be out there, wants to finish all 17 games, talks about being a pro, feels like he owes it to his teammates, owes it to the Jets who brought him here.
Yeah.
Like, that's not nothing. People want to paint Aaron Rodgers as like this selfish diva, bad guy. If he were a bad guy, he would have shut it down when he was hurt. He would have shut it down when this team was basically eliminated from the playoffs. The fact that he wants to go out there and is actually now playing well, that's not nothing. Like, people do notice that. Like, Jay Glazer had the report on Sunday that the Jet teammates in the locker room love Rodgers because they know what he's playing through. They appreciate his commitment. Like, that doesn't mean you bring him back next year. We'll let a new GM and coach decide. But this guy loves football, and this narrative that he's a bad dude, it couldn't be further from the truth.
Correct. And finding that leadership, what it also does is it cuts out the nuance, the gray area between Rodgers being a locker room leader, being looked up to, and allowing Rodgers to infiltrate certain structures, like Hackett running the offense. Anything he wants in terms of personnel and anything in that regard. They had a savior complex and thinking too extreme, whether it's Salah's scheme, which I think they were too extreme on, or one quarterback away, quote unquote, which, yeah, I understand because of the stats and so forth. The media and the fans were on that, but Salah was on that too. And when you're losing and the owner is trying to find out why, what are you going to say? I mean, what do you think is going to be said from that regard? So they relied on him. They looked at him as a savior, and the proper leadership wouldn't do that. They have to cut through that nuance. And I think if someone does that with Rodgers, he won't rebel. He'll nod his head and say, yeah, you're right. That's the way it has to be.
Look, he has not been great. Maybe he has not been what some thought he'd be, but I think we all could acknowledge in more games than not, he's played well enough for this team to win if they were the team we thought they were going to be around him, right? Like, and look, stats don't tell the whole story, but over the last 7 games, 13 touchdowns, 1 interception. The Jets have averaged 22.4 points per game. We gave the stat ad nauseum the last 2 years what Rodgers' career record was when the team he's on allowed less than 20 points. It was otherworldly. Yet this Jet defense, since they fired Robert Saleh, has been one of the worst in the league. And if they just held up their end of the bargain, if they were anywhere near what they've been, they wouldn't be 4-10 right now. People forget that. People don't bring up the kicking situation enough. And look, Rodgers has not been great in some of these games as well. But, if you wanted him to be a competent quarterback this year, which was what I said he needed to be for this team to be a playoff team, he's done that for the most part. Like, he's probably been anywhere from the 15th to 20th best quarterback in the league on average. I won't go as far as Paningo saying he's top 10. Maybe if he's fully healthy now down the stretch, we could argue that. We'll see. But, they've had the lead with under a minute to go in 5 of their last 7 games, and they're 2-5 over that span. Like, this is on the defense. The defense, the coaching, that's been the biggest issue, not Aaron Rodgers' play.
Yeah, no, it's coaching. Like, it simply boils that down to that for me. It's coaching, and Douglas should have recognized it and said something. Period. Personnel, I think Douglas still did a great job, a tremendous job. When you compare it objectively to the rest of the league, I just think he died in the foxhole. And it's valiant. I get it, but whether you recognize it or not, you have to do the right thing. Not even for the sake of you, for the sake of the franchise. So 2 things. Rodgers, even early in the season, it felt like Hackett was the OC, yes, but the game planning, it felt like he was playing more within a constrained game planning vision. Like, think about the Niners. Think about Tennessee. Think about it. They were trying to stuff the run early. They were trying to do things, and this is Salah's MO, conservative game plan, rely on the defense. As things went on and Downing took over and the season started to be torn apart, they've opened it up in a big way. Yeah, Devontae helps for sure, but that is something to take note of, number one. And number two, which is more directly related to the coaching and not Rodgers, I'm not convinced the defense would have been any better if Salah stayed. I mean, a 5-game sample size, they come out in week 1 having the entire offseason to prepare, and they get their backs blown over by San Fran, who's not even that great this year. Tennessee, they couldn't stop early in the game. So, 5-game sample size, I'm not convinced they would have been any better. Maybe an extra game, maybe an extra win.
I think a couple games to be, and I'm not the biggest Salah fan, but
yeah, I hear you.
We gotta be fair. You think they blow the New England game, the Colt game, the Miami game?
Listen,
Salah's the head coach.
I'm being fair. Maybe an extra win or two, but no, I don't think it's a major difference whatsoever. I think, in other words, the greater point is I think it's a distraction to even worry about it. Because whether it's Salah or Ulbrich, it doesn't matter. They weren't going anywhere with either guy. That's how bad the coaching was. It has been for years.
Look, it's a huge problem, and I agree with you. I think coaching is the most important thing this go around. And look, a GM is obviously important too, but from a roster building standpoint, it's not like this team is bereft of talent. And ironically, the biggest issue I think Joe Douglas had, besides figuring out quarterback, has been the offensive line. Seemingly, the Jets have the offensive line in place for the next regime taking over. You got 4 starters under contract, 27 or under. Olu Fashanu with a really good game on Sunday. Tippmann's played well. ABT is getting better coming off the Achilles. He's someone that I think we should be very high on. Simpson's been one of the best free agent signings Douglas ever made. They got real talent. I'd bring Morgan Moses back and have the same 5 guys out there and have some continuity for this team going forward.
Yeah, no, they have young guys. They have talent. Like, you can't just say, 4-10, there's no talent in the building. Any talk of rebuilding is nonsense. It's pure nonsense. And in today's day and age with social media and the tankathon, rebuild gets thrown out there so carelessly, and it's ridiculous. Even if you move on from Rodgers and go to a different quarterback, which I'm okay with. Like, I'm not a diehard bring Rodgers guy back. I'm a keep all options open guy. Even if you do that, it's not rebuilding. That's nonsense. Douglas rebuilt the personnel. It's a matter of direction and leadership and coaching. So anyone saying rebuild with the Jets is just utterly ridiculous.
Hit the like button if you're tuning in. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Reminder, all raffle entries go towards our next giveaway, the Jet surfboard and the Super Bowl III photo. Appreciate everyone who's participating in our giveaways all month long. You heard me say it. I'll say it again. Film review with Fialco coming up at 4 p.m. Eastern time today. If you're watching this live or if you're watching this after the fact, make sure you check that out. A couple super chats to get into that we'll talk about Thomas Dimitroff. This super chat here is from Ace of Spade. SNY discussed an idea of Vrabel helping to pick a GM. Look, Mike Vrabel is going to go to a team that the GM in place is someone he's comfortable with, because a big issue at the end of his Titans tenure was the relationship he had with the front office, the A.J. Brown trade, which, by the way, the Jets are going to interview former Titans GM John Robinson this week. I don't know if that means that, Robinson's going to hire Vrabel if he got the job, or, the Jets are interviewing Robinson so they can then get Vrabel. For all we know, those two guys don't get along because of the A.J. Brown trade and how it ended there, with Robinson being fired, Vrabel winning that power struggle. Then they bring in Ron Carthon, who's now their new GM. And Vrabel was the shocking fire at the end of last season, if you recall. So I don't know if John Robinson means the Jets are then going to get Mike Vrabel. It might have the opposite effect.
Yeah, it's a great call out by you. I mean, I don't think anyone knows what their relationship is. So who knows? I mean, I have no idea. And the way I look at the GM candidates right now, take it in, evaluate it, think about it, but it's more the exhibition season. It's more the in-season tournament for the NBA. The stuff that is just getting you going. That's not meaningless, but it doesn't mean that much, because these are guys who can interview. There's going to be a whole pot of guys who can't interview right now that you're going to have to wait for. So I love that they're getting started early. I love some of the names they're talking about. Not Riddick, but Dimitroff, sure. Robinson, sure. but it's very early in the process.
Comments, questions, super chats. Michael Levinson checks in. One thing that bothers me is when the changing of the play at the line and he has to use a timeout. I can't believe every time the play wasn't in on time. Yeah, it's been a problem this year at times. It's
since week 1, dude. It happened in San Fran.
It is baffling. You would think it just feels like there's just something a little off all year in that regard. Yet, the offense has played better of late, so we'll take them scoring 32 points every week and deal with that if that does happen.
Yeah, it's been happening since week 1. It's a system issue. It's a structure issue. Whether it's Downing, Rodgers has been the constant. Whether it's Downing or Hackett, it's leadership. It's leadership. Bottom line, and you can't absolve Rodgers totally, but it's interesting that he didn't really face these issues in Green Bay. That's the thing that I can't deal with.
Leany writes in, I was at the game. The players were very excited about getting the win. That's what it's all about for them. I was happy for the win. Yeah, look, players don't tank. Coaches don't tank. You're out there on the field risking your life, the physical toll it takes to play this sport. You're trying to win. So don't blame the players or the coaches if you're upset with a win. That's crazy.
Yeah, by the way, who was the player? I'm blanking right now. Who was the player that was carted off without his shirt on? They had to take his shoulder pads off, his helmet off. Do you know what I'm talking about?
In the Houston game?
I forget which game it was even.
The Houston and Miami game.
Is he okay? Who was it, and what was the injury? Is he okay?
Dubose, I believe, is the player's name.
That was it.
Yeah, and I don't know if we have an update. I haven't seen anything.
Yeah, you're risking
Grant Dubose.
The risking your life thing made me think about that. Has movement in all extremities. Good. Okay.
So hopefully he's okay. I will say he went to the local hospital in Houston, probably the best hospital in the country down there. So he's in good hands.
Houston has some good medical stuff going on.
That's what they're known for. Boring sober guy. I see your Asmaniac super chat. I will get to it, but we're going to talk about Dimitroff here, so I'll save that for when we get into it. But I will read this comment. Congrats on the championship, Sabo. Nice to see the Hudson Valley represented.
Yeah, but is this person from Hudson Valley or near Port? What's up? Got to give some background. But yeah, first time in school history. Port's been playing since 1890 something, and the tournament didn't get started till I think the late 80s, early 90s. Still, first time in school history is pretty good. So the town is blowing up. They're loving it.
Michael with a super chat. Was Woody Johnson smart for getting a jump on the dump? Yeah, look, you can criticize Woody for many things. Getting rid of Douglas when he did was the right move, because if you knew there was no chance of the guy being back, he was a lame duck. We all watched that press conference where he did look like dead man walking. If you know you're moving on from the guy, you did right by him by firing him when they did. And oh, by the way, I don't know if you saw the photo making the rounds from this past Sunday, Robbie, but who was at the Eagles game against the Steelers at Lincoln Financial Field? Joe Douglas hanging out with Howie Roseman on the field before the game. So I'd imagine he'll have a job in the front office there or Baltimore or somewhere at some point this offseason if he wants it.
Yeah, he'll be scooped up in an instant, and possibly he's going to love going back to scouting and personnel, because he hit it out of the park with the Jets. Listen, I'm the biggest Joe Douglas fan probably you ever meet.
No, that's Mr. Bonesy, but continue.
Oh, Bonesy loves him more than... Okay, well, hey, Bonesy, solidarity. We're together, but still, as big as a fan as I am, and still he could have worked moving forward, I think it was the right call to get rid of him. He did not do the right thing in terms of everything that is outside of personnel. And you have to be that alpha, especially in the Jets organization, as opposed to someone like Green Bay or Pitt, where there's constant structures that are helping out in other areas. The GM with the Jets has so much more responsibility. And so what Woody did to get rid of him and the timing, it was the right call.
Hit the like button if you're just tuning in. I appreciate everyone who's watching the show. Snake Plyskin, thanks for the $2. If there's a comment or question that was supposed to be attached to this, you let me know. Until then, we thank you for your service. All right, Robbie, let's get into the news yesterday. The first candidate has officially been interviewed. Every time the Jets interview a candidate officially, they have said they will announce it, which is what they did yesterday. Yesterday, they completed an interview with former Falcons GM Thomas Dimitroff for their GM opening. Here's a guy that I believe deserves another opportunity to be a GM. I'm going to wait for the entire process to play out, but I've talked about him on this show before. he's someone that did a really good job in Atlanta. They went to a Super Bowl. They went to the playoffs, I believe, 6 times. He hired 2 different head coaches that became that were coaches that led the team to the playoffs. We know what happened in that Super Bowl, 28-3, but that's not on the GM. He drafted Matt Ryan, so he drafted a franchise quarterback.
Who was the second one other than Quinn?
The guy before Quinn. Mike Smith? Is that the guy's name?
Oh, yes. Good call.
Long time ago. But if you remember, he also took over a very chaotic situation down in 2000, back in 2008. He took over the year after the Michael Vick scandal happened. So
yeah, true.
Dimitroff, he's qualified for this job. He did a good job in Atlanta. Obviously, it ends poorly. That's why these guys are available in the first place. But if you want someone that has done it at a high level, that wouldn't be in over his head taking this job, he's someone I like a lot as far as guys with previous GMing experience. He runs an analytics company, so he's still been around the game. And for those who missed it, I posted the interview I happened to do with Thomas Dimitroff last January during Super Bowl week at Radio Row on the channel again. So check that out, Jet fans, if you want more insight into the candidate the Jets spoke to. Here's a short clip from that conversation almost a year to the day. This was from late January of 2024.
I guess I want to start from your perspective as a general manager. When you have a tough season and you get to the offseason, what is some of the first things that kind of go through your mind as you start preparing for the following season, where both Joe Douglas and Joe Shane are right now?
Yeah, I mean, both of those guys, the biggest thing as a general manager, the first thing you do is you sit down with your coaching staff and your personnel staff, and you literally focus on where are we as a team? What are our needs truly? Not what the media is projecting or what the fan base is. Where are we? We know the finance. Where, we just need to figure that out. We need to get our evaluations. We need to decide on as a group, which is very important, right? This isn't just about a GM and his scouts making a decision or the coaches hammering it down. With both of those organizations, both of those GMs and head coaches work well together, which is really important. It's about really going in there and deciding, first of all, who are we not re-signing? Where are we going? And you start deciding right now. You start digging into free agency, right? And you start deciding on, are we going to focus in free agency here? Or are we going to focus in the draft here, right? It's understand the value is in the draft side. If most of the people in the NFL right now, they need help in free agency. And they all will say to me, like, Sumer Sports, the company you're in, I get it. We're good. We're okay on the draft side. Help us make the right decisions in FA because there are so many mistakes made there for many, many reasons. So in the end, it's about deciding where you go in draft or free agency and at what position, of course.
He's a smart guy, Robbie. He is a smart guy, had success. Your thoughts on Thomas Dimitroff being the first official candidate to interview for the GM job?
Well, first of all, you're definitely not the U.S. president because you haven't aged one day, my friend. How long ago? Was that 2 years ago or last year?
It's last year. And that clip reminds me how bad the Wi-Fi was inside the convention center in Vegas with how it kept sputtering out.
Yeah, that must have been driving you nuts while it was happening.
Brutal. And I didn't know in real time till watching it back, so it drove me nuts.
Yeah. No, Dimitroff, I think I mentioned this in an article I wrote a couple weeks ago, and I said this to Port's head coach, Damian Straharski, who, when he got the job in 2019, hired me, wanted me to coach full-time, but there was no way I could do it, doing what I do with the Jets. So I'm kind of like Ernie Adams, a shadowy figure, on the headset on game days and game planning, through technology and stuff. Some practices, but what have you. I think in terms of leadership, head coach, it doesn't apply to GM as much, but I think it still matters because you have to build relationships everywhere within the organization. The starting point is this dude genuine? That is, to me, that's a starting point. Is this a genuine guy, or does he try to lead in ways that, everyone has motivational tricks and tactics if you're a leader, but there's a certain way to do it where it comes off completely disingenuous and everyone around that person just looking around like, what is this guy serious? That's what you can't have. And if you got the impression that Dimitroff is a genuine dude, I think that's the first thing to look for. And I think that's the starting point. And from everything I hear, he is that. So I think that's the groundbreaking point for me.
He's someone that has done the job before, went to a Super Bowl,
yep,
hired 2 coaches that went to the playoffs, has a scouting background. I don't hate it. If you told me they hired him, I don't hate it. And one thing I'd bring up, a couple connections you might have for possible coaching candidates.
Mhm.
He was in New England as a
Yes.
scout when Mike Vrabel was there as a player. He also was in New England when Brian Flores was there as a coach. So there could be some possible overlap there, which I certainly don't mind. I texted someone who does sports radio in Atlanta who covered Dimitroff on a day in, day out basis for his evaluation. Here's what he wrote. Hit on a lot of skill guys, but missed and whiffed on linemen. I'd say his hit rate on first rounders was very good, but he rarely hit on middle round guys. Only guy I could think of was Grady Jarrett. Now, we do know that the Jets, at least for the next couple seasons, seemingly have their offensive line in place. So that doesn't concern me as much as maybe it would if this was a year ago. That said, you're going to need to replace the depth. You're going to need to find a long-term right tackle. So that's certainly one thing to note. But look, no GM bats 1,000. We know this, right? For every good move Joe Douglas made, we could talk about all the ones he missed on. Same with all the best GMs. So I don't hate this. That's my initial thought on this. He's a great dude. I'm trying to not have my bias, knowing the guy personally, affect my evaluation of this. But I don't mind it. If he ended up getting this job, depending on who his coaching hire would be, I would probably be on board.
Yeah, guys I think of right away, Jake Matthews, is he including him in the miss in the top 10? O-line, maybe. Looking at him, he started with the Chiefs in 93 when Montana was there as a scout. Interesting. Detroit, Cleveland, the expansion Cleveland Browns, I believe. Yeah, it had to be. Late 90s. And then New England. So, and he came right from New England to Atlanta. So 12 years is a long time as a GM with an organization.
Yeah.
And they really had sustained success. It wasn't perfect every year. But off the top of my head, they were an organization in the upper tier. And to have sustained success in that regard means you have to be a good relationship builder. So that's a cue to me that he could be a solid candidate.
The other name that has emerged is a guy on TV. That's Louis Riddick. We already mentioned John Robinson. The Jets will reportedly speak with him and Louis Riddick. Now, is Louis Riddick just getting this interview because, him and Mike Tannenbaum work together, or do you think Louis Riddick is a legit candidate for the Jet GM job?
Yeah, I'm not as big on Riddick as I am Dimitroff or the Titans dude, but I would never proclaim it just because he works with Mikey T. At the same time, those are the types of questions I'd like to avoid based on hiring the 33rd team, as we discussed. But it's not going to be a deal breaker. Obviously, it's not going to be a crazy thing. But I'd be stunned if Riddick gets any traction in terms of the interview process.
He interviewed for the Texans job in 2020 when I was down there.
Was that his last interview, you think?
I have to look into that. Now, Nick Caserio got that position, of course, but yeah. Riddick did get an interview. I don't know if he's interviewed for any job since.
Because, and granted, I might not be as locked in on Riddick as others. He strikes me as someone who wasn't itching to get back into the front office, So, hey, it could be a positive, though. If you interview a guy while realizing he has a 1% chance of gaining any traction, you never know what that dude might say in the interview room and, the wisdom he may impart or anything along those lines. So there's no negative you could yell and scream about with Riddick.
Riddick played in the league. He was in a front office, but he hasn't been in a front office in a long time.
It's been a while.
He was in a front office for 13 years with Washington and Philly, including leading the pro personnel departments for both franchises. I just checked for you, Robbie. He interviewed for the Texans job and the Lions job in 2020.
Lions job too. Okay. Yeah, I mean, it's nothing I will ever yell and scream about, especially in today's NFL, where you want to bring in as many candidates as possible, and considering it's mid-December, the pile of potential candidates is not that large. So, hey, bring him in, see what he has to say.
Why not? You talk to as many people as possible and gather information. Even if you don't end up hiring the guy, you might learn something about your roster, or you might get a common opinion on your team that might influence your thought process on the best path forward.
If it were late January and he's just one of 3 candidates they're bringing back for a second round or a third round, I'd lose my mind and go ballistic. But we're just not there yet.
Super chat from boring sober guy, as promised. Dimitroff
Boring
seems like a
sober
no-brainer.
guy. Nice. Okay.
Well, he's boring now that he's sober.
I get it, dude. I get it.
Dimitroff seems like a no-brainer. Not only has he built the Super Bowl team, Atlanta was a contender for 10 years. Throw this man the bag for F's sakes. Look, he's a good candidate. If you want someone with experience, I said this on the show a couple of weeks ago when they fired Douglas. I texted someone I know that works in an NFL front office and just asked him for his thoughts on the Jet job. And the first thing the guy wrote to me was, this is not a job for first-timers. And I agree with that. So if you're trying to find someone with experience, Dimitroff would be near the top of my list with a guy like John Dorsey as well.
Correct. And it goes to what I said earlier, that the Jets GM job is different from other organizations. You know, you could take over Pittsburgh or Green Bay or different organizations and have a lot more support. And that's not necessarily a dig on the Jets structure or the way it's set up. It's experience, it's culture, it's the way it's laid out. It's where they are in terms of an ownership process. They look towards the GM to lead in more areas than other organizations. And honestly, that is the norm across the NFL. The abnormal ones are the Green Bays and Pittsburgh, where there's much more support. That's on a different plane, different level. So that is the norm, but it is much more difficult for sure.
Today's Jake Asman Show is presented by SeatGeek. Hey, Jet fans, I'm pumped up. The Jets are back home this week against the Los Angeles Rams, and they have one final home game after that. Make sure you download the SeatGeek app right now because they are going to give you the best deal you will find on tickets to any of the two remaining Jets home games this season. SeatGeek, with over 28 million downloads, is the #1 rated ticketing app. And of course, it's not just the Jets. You can find more than 70,000 events on SeatGeek, including concerts, festivals, any sporting event, you name it, it is there on SeatGeek. Check it out right now. You'll notice on the SeatGeek app, they put all the tickets across the web in one place, and they make sure you're getting a good deal. Each ticket rated on a scale of 1 through 10, so look out for the green dots. Green means good, red means bad. And as always, I got a promo code to come through for the Asmaniacs. Promo code Jake Asman, that's my first and last name, and you'll get $20 off your tickets at SeatGeek. That's $20 off your first purchase with promo code Jake Asman. Make sure you click the link in the description to download the app. Shout out to SeatGeek for sponsoring today's show. Let's go, SeatGeek. Jets, 3.5-point home underdogs against the Rams on Sunday. Just saw the official line for that game, so we'll see if the Jets can go for 2 in a row. And look, it's one thing to play well against a mediocre Dolphins defense, against an awful Jaguars defense, but if this offense led by Rodgers looks good again, it just adds more to the debate on what you do at quarterback for 2025.
Yeah, well-coached team in LA. Well-coached, playing for something. They need the game. So if you don't think that matters in preparation in terms of the butterflies, in terms of getting out on the field and practicing, you're wrong, because it still matters, especially to Rodgers. So it'll be interesting. It's definitely not nothing. I'll put it that way.
Some housekeeping to attend to. Brian writes in, every show is the same, over and over and over. I will simply ask you this question then, Brian. Why are you watching? Why are you watching? And I'll even do this for you, Brian. I'll make sure you can't watch for 24 hours. Farewell. Now look what you've done. No more protection from the Asmaniacs. Had to pull you out of the chat and cast you down with the sodomites. Some time in here will feel like you've been run over by the lane train. You understand me? You catch my drift? Give them another 24 hours to think about it. See you later.
Tell you what, I don't think the punishment was harsh enough for that comment. That's damn near betrayal, that comment. I know it's still morning technically. Get your coffee in, but can you imagine a world where the Jets organization, fans are saying that about the Jets organization because they're just boring and they win all the time? Can't even envision it. And it's always exciting for the Jets, I'll tell you that. But yeah, mid-December, it's rough sometimes, folks. It's rough, but you keep tuning in for Jake. Is it due to his boyish good looks? What else is it? Like, what else do they love about you, Jake? I don't get it.
I don't know. If every show is the same, that'd be news to me. I mean, I guess you didn't watch yesterday's show, Brian. I mean, it got out of control. All right. I'll play you a little spoiler, Robbie, if you didn't get a chance to see it live.
Did not. I saw Joe B. I saw his spot, I think, to the end, but I didn't see the Bobby. And I saw Bobby chatting me up in the chat here.
Oh, yeah.
Is he already hopped on or what?
He's on hold. He'll be ready to go.
Oh, baby. Bobby, what's up, boy? What's up, buddy?
Super chat from Bang Mateo. No Lewis Riddick and no GD Aaron Glenn, please. Look, I if you tell me which one do I think is more qualified for their respective role, I think Glenn is more qualified to be a head coach than Riddick would be to be a GM.
Agreed.
That said, neither one is my preference. Glenn, I like him. I think he's a good candidate. I don't think he's a good fit for the Jets because I don't want someone that's a first-time guy with a defensive background.
That's the double whammy. And I know some people are on the train that, hey, Rex and Glenn, they have ties to the Jets. What does that matter? Like, I don't care about that. What is it? Doesn't matter at all. Bowles and McCagnon had ties to Jersey. Like, who cares? It's a double whammy. Glenn, I'll say this. Glenn is on my list, but he's down the list. And admittedly, a lot of it is not his fault. And also, admittedly, Detroit, man, oh man. I think I had in the preseason prediction article on JetX, I'll double check this. I think I had Green Bay coming out of the NFC and maybe Buffalo. I'm not sure, but Detroit, man. A month ago, everyone thought they were going to steamroll their way, and the injuries on defense it's killing Glenn right now.
The Lions have so many injuries, and I get it. It's one of those things, though, where sometimes we put too much stock in how the guy does as a coordinator because it's a different job. Like Mike Vrabel's defense in Houston, his last year there, was not any good. So I remember Texans fans were shocked he got the Titans job. Like, nice job, Tennessee. Like, way to hire our coordinator who wasn't that good to be your head coach. And then Mike Vrabel turned out to be an awesome coach for them. And it's why so many people believe he's the top experienced guy during this go-around. So you just never know.
No, and you said it's a different job. It's a different world too today. And I feel I'm a defensive coach too at heart. So I feel a little bit worse for defenders and defensive coaches in this NFL, but it's the reality. And the moment you try to be stubborn and think it's not reality is the moment you're going to be booted out of the league. It's that simple.
Micro Fox writes in, if I were a GM, I would certainly be rebuilding, get the new GM and a head coach, clean slate with players and rookie contracts. That's one of the most asinine comments I think we'll read today. Why would you rebuild with this team? You want to retool. You want to get rid of Sauce, and you want to get rid of Jermaine and Will McDonald and Quinnen and Quincy Williams. You got good players on this team, and Garrett Wilson. Like, you got good young players. Why would you want to rebuild? If anything, you want to retool. You want to add to it. You want to make this team better around the margins. You want to hire a great coach that can maximize the talent you have. The idea that you rebuild when the cover is bare, when you have no talent. That's why when Joe Douglas got here, he trades Jamal Adams and Leonard Williams because the team was nowhere near winning, and those guys didn't fit the timeline. That's not what you're doing with this job. There's talent on this team. This team, with the right coach, regardless who the QB is, should be fighting for a playoff spot next year. That should be the expectation in a league that rewards year-to-year turnaround.
Agreed. And I don't get it. I mean, see, the thing is, it's just too easy to say, 4 wins, they stink. There's no good players. Nonsense. If you did that after 96, they're not 9-7 with Parcells in 97. Like, if you did that with the team that choked with Favre, I know they finished 9-7, but the team wasn't drastically different when Rex took over in 09, and they went on a run. So you have to think about this thing critically, and also comment. I was dead wrong. I did not take. I gotta set the record straight. I did not take Buffalo. I took the Bengals to win the Super Bowl over Green Bay. So I could not have been more wrong. But Green Bay is a good shot. We'll see. We'll see what happens with them.
Ladies and gentlemen, the Gusbuster Umbrella Hotline is open. Reminder, for every raffle ticket entry you want, you get it by gifting a membership or a $20 super chat or more. Thank you to everyone again for participating all month long. Let's check in right now on the Gusbuster Hotline. First up is the aforementioned Bobby Butter.
Bonus!
I'm coming.
Bobby,
I'm right here, coming.
run, Forrest, run.
You like grease lightning, baby. Look at you.
Hey, I'm trying to lose the weight there, buddy.
Good
How
job.
you
What are you
doing,
doing? Do you have a? I'm good. How are you, buddy?
I got to weigh in tonight at 10 o'clock on Nick's show.
Do you have a daily routine you're working with right now, where you're staying in shape?
Well, at least today's a lot better outside today to walk.
Well, hey, you
Yes.
could do stuff in your. You could do stuff in your.
Yeah, well,
place.
you hear what the big fella did for me? He gave me a walking pad yesterday.
Who's the big fella?
He's one of the big callers in here. He gives Jake a lot of money, and he loves everybody.
Okay.
Jake, I'm here for your boily looks too, you know.
That's right.
Yeah, that's why I come and watch Jake. That other guy's an idiot. So, who commented? So, yeah. So that's coming next. I think it's 6 more days from now, the 23rd.
Addison writes in, Bobby's becoming as nimble as Simone Biles.
I'm not quite yet. Not quite yet.
Well, you got to lose some weight because the Braylon Allen jersey we sent you, it's got to fit.
Yeah. March,
Bobby.
March, baby, March.
What's your favorite Christmas movie, Bobby?
My favorite Christmas movie is Home Alone.
That was from Smokey Cat 9 Lives.
No, Smokey Cat 9 Lives. I like
Yeah.
that name. I love cats.
When was the last time you watched that rope, by the way?
No, yeah, 2 weeks ago.
2 weeks ago. You wear it every day.
Sounds like a made up
Yeah.
number, to be honest. 2 weeks. If you said
Yeah.
4 days, I'd believe you.
No, 2 weeks ago.
Okay.
And the other one is in the garbage.
Yeah.
When-
Well, Bobby,
I had
listen.
that like 10 years. You know.
hey, you got to get a routine, a daily routine in terms of workout and build it up
Yeah.
each day.
Oh, I know. I lost weight this week, but
You will. No. You got to do it now. Like, start once this
that's
call's over.
what I'm doing. I am.
Okay. Whoa, I care
I'm
about you.
not.
Why are you yelling at me?
I'm not yelling at you.
Yeah, why are you getting so snippy at Robbie?
It's okay. I know.
I'm
Listen, I
doing
know it
good.
comes from a place of love, but that
I'm
was
doing good. I lost weight this week, so everybody will see.
nice.
Big
Good
fella
job.
says, Bobby, get your vitamins.
Yeah, I got to get them today. Yes.
And not the Flintstone kind.
No, multivitamin for men.
Okay.
That's what it is.
Gator writes in, it's nice that Bobby could take a break from eating butter to call into Jake's show.
Gator, you're hilarious today. I love
You
you.
eat butter?
Yeah, I don't eat it. I put it in. I cook it with my meat.
How many sticks of butter do you eat a day?
One day, I don't eat it. I cook one stick when I cook meat. And that's it.
No, Bobby, don't do that.
Yes, I do. It feels good
One
for my
stick?
body.
No,
I'm
you don't-
salty. Yeah.
No, no,
that's
no.
right. Yes,
But
I do.
He,
You gotta
he
cut
thinks
down.
that's good for his diet because he's getting his dieting advice from Gary.
Well, yeah, you know, Gary. But it works for diabetes, I'll tell you that much.
Yeah, well, how does it work? What do you mean?
You know, drinking regular water, see? Rather than water.
Oh, I gotcha.
I show you what I put in. I used to have orange juice, can't drink that anymore. So I drain that out and then I put this water in there every day.
No pulp, huh?
Yeah, no pulp. That was when I used to drink orange. I can't do that. That gets shots up, shoots your glucose high.
I'm a some pulp type guy.
Yeah, but I can't drink orange juice and it's like soda.
Ryan
No more
writes in,
soup
Bobby's
either.
blood will be on Gary's hands.
Yeah, Ryan, I heard. Yeah. Well, let's see how it goes. Well, what about Metro Funny? He lost 40 pounds in a month.
Yeah, not eating butter sticks,
Yes, he did. He
By
used
having-
butter.
by having good nutrition, by going for
No,
walks.
you
He's not
Metro
eating a
Funny.
full butter stick and losing weight. That's not why you're feeling a
He
little better. You're
cooks
feeling better because you're
butter.
eating better.
I don't eat the butter. I cook it with the meat. I don't eat it like Gary does.
Well, it's still going down your gullet, Bobby. It's the same
No,
thing.
it's very good. No, very good. Hey, see,
Hmm.
somebody said I lost weight in my face. Does it see? So yeah, I'm doing good. I will show
Zach
that
writes in, looking forward to the day the butter talk and butter video eventually dies out. Might not ever happen though. I'll tell you what,
well,
Zach,
see in March what happens.
$500 right now. All right. And the butter video will never be played on the show again.
Hey,
No,
It's a
they'll
steep
pay
price. Jake West says
Mike,
butter
You want to say hello to Mikey, everybody?
butter has 800 calories a stick. Yeah, let's talk to Mikey.
Say hello.
Hey, Dave,
Mikey,
the Jets all the way next year, Super Bowl next year.
every
That's
year,
awesome.
baby. One of
that
these
hat
days.
is awesome, dude.
I'm 1-0 when I went to the stadium. I'm 1-0 this year.
That's
He
right.
has
We
to
need you to
be
go to
off
more
the-
games.
Yeah, I will.
Well, next year.
Next year.
I love it, Mikey.
I got the stuff,
Okay, thank you.
Take to see them.
The great Mikey Midnight.
Mike, I got a haircut, everybody. Show you a haircut.
Yeah, I got a haircut.
I gotta get a
Yeah.
haircut.
Yeah, I got a haircut
Yeah.
with a girl.
With a beautiful girl. They're all girls over there. We get our haircut from. Beautiful
yeah.
ladies. Yes.
So do you scout barbershops for the skill or the
No, we go to a
For life, for life.
and we go there. We've been going there for like 8 years already.
The
Okay,
Jets will
you know what
finish
you're doing.
7-10. 7-10 this year.
I don't
7
see
and
that
10.
happen.
They're gonna win their last 3 games.
Yeah,
I don't see that.
I
happen.
think so. Aaron
Giants
Rodgers,
gonna be 2
Aaron
and-
Rodgers is on his
2.
A game now. He's on his
2
A
and
game.
15. The Giants are good.
Yeah,
He
Rodgers
put
is playing well.
400 yards this weekend.
Well, the
400,
Rams don't have a good defense, do they?
yeah, 400 yards for Aaron Rodgers.
Hey, I got a question about John Robinson. That's not the guy who used to coach the Rams, is it?
No.
No, it's a different guy. That was
Um,
Madden's best friend, the old Robinson.
He died, right? Didn't he die?
Yeah, I mean, I think so, but I don't want to
Yeah. Okay. That's,
go out
Bobby,
on a
tell
limb.
me what that Tampa Bay coach, the offensive
oh,
coach in Tampa Bay.
who's that?
Liam Cohen.
Oh, Leon Cohen.
Yeah, he was going to the Jets. You
Oh, I
know
thought
it.
it was the other guy, the quarterback. What's his name? Okay. What was the quarterback's name?
What quarterback?
Yeah, what quarter?
Did they have a quarterback on Tampa Bay that was the offensive coach?
Liam
No.
Cohen?
Oh, Byron Leftwich you're talking about. He's not there anymore.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, he's not there anymore. Oh,
Hasn't been there in years, Bobby.
oh, I
Yeah.
didn't know that.
All
Well,
it's a-
Gary
it's a-
behind says you look great, Bobby. Keep up the great work. So
Bobby, if you die and they do the autopsy and they say it's from eating too much butter, do you think Gary will feel guilty?
I don't know.
What did Gary? I don't even know the butter thing. I'm just. What did Gary say?
Would you like to
Well,
get
we eat
Gary's
butter every
perspective
day.
on butter?
Yes, please.
Yeah.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, joining us right now is the czar of butter.
Once I'd like to talk about the Jets, but I can talk about the carnivore diet all day. So,
Oh, dude,
go.
I did it. I did it for about a year. The carnivore.
okay.
It's. I knew I
I've been
wouldn't stick
doing-
with it. I knew I wouldn't
I've
stick
been
with
doing
it,
a
but
year and a
it's
half.
yeah, it's good. It's a good thing.
I've been doing it a year and a half. I have epilepsy. I have early onset dementia. It's improved both those things, but additionally, like way better. Like I was stage 3 dementia for 2 years. I just had a doctor's appointment in September. I go every 6 months. My doctor was blown away. He said, "You're now stage 2. Like we don't really see like a regression in dementia at 40 years old. Like it
Hold
can
on,
stay
we'll
the
get back.
same way."
We'll get back to the great butter debate in a moment, but we got a 5 spot of channel membership.
It's the Asmaniac membership raffle. For every membership gifted, you receive 1 ticket entered in the raffle to win epic prizes.
Yeah, buddy. These are from Kyle Clifton. So if you hear your name called, you thank Kyle Clifton for giving you your channel membership. Billy
All-time leading
McCain,
tackler.
Benji, Captain Swanson, HL Thunter, and there's one more, and FPP all received a channel membership. All right, Gary, we're not debating the merits of the carnivore diet. That's a common thing. But specifically, talk to Robby about why you believe Bobby should be eating butter sticks.
Yeah,
like you
why?
do.
And where's the connection with butter and the carnivore diet?
Well, like I do a diet where it's just beef, butter, and bacon. It's the only thing I eat: beef, butter,
Okay.
and bacon. All right. And butter.
Salt?
Obviously. Oh, salt. Yeah, I salt my food.
Okay.
Too. So beef, butter, and bacon,
And water, just water.
Water. I don't drink any. Yeah, just water. So what I'm eating is all completely nutrient dense, nutrient rich food, right? Butter is one of the most nutrient rich foods that people have been eating for 4,000 years. Like butter is a proven food with a ton of nutrients in it, right? So everything you eat, like there should be a plan for everything you eat. You don't just stick food in your mouth.
Yeah.
If I'm eating butter, I'm getting fat, I'm getting protein, I'm getting vitamins, and I'm getting all that in a really dense food. Like Jake is saying, can you eat lettuce? You can eat lettuce, but what's it really doing for you? Butter and beef are the most nutrient dense, and oily fish are the most nutrient dense foods I can think of. So you should be eating those foods. That's what you should be eating.
I agree 100% with everything you just said. I think but the convo is how much butter each day, not if you should eat butter.
I'm not a calorie counter, right? Like I just don't think calorie counting is good. With the carnivore diet, you're not eating sugars and you're not eating carbs. Just eat until you're satiated or it stops tasting good.
Right,
So,
but like, so for example, how much butter do you eat a day? Is the question.
I eat about a stick of butter, not every day, but I usually eat about a stick of butter.
Do you work out?
Not like you would think. I don't work out like a machine. I don't work out but I exercise daily. Yes.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, hey,
Larry Romano called you a fool.
Who
Robby.
did?
Larry Romano
called me a fool.
Mm-hmm.
Like if you look at the traditional American diet, Americans are on over the age of 40 are on 5 different prescriptions. They're 50 pounds overweight, and 1 out of 3 have diabetes. And I don't do that. I don't do what they do, but I'm a fool. Fair enough.
Hey, let's ask Robby a real question here, Robby. What do you think is healthier for you? Having lettuce? I'm going to even quantify it a little further here. What do you think is healthier for you?
Stick of butter.
One Caesar salad, right? Let's say there's no protein on it, just a Caesar salad. Let's say it's, a normal amount of dressing, nothing over the top, or 1 stick of butter. You could eat 1 item of food every day for the rest of your life. What are you better off eating?
I mean, under those parameters, a salad for sure.
See,
now,
Gary would push back and disagree.
If you load it up with dressing, if you load it up with dressing and croutons, and the butter is maybe a half a stick or a quarter of a stick. Yeah, okay, maybe we're getting closer.
What in the butter? Like in the salad, I'm getting almost no nutrients. If that's all I ate for a day was a salad with no meat, no protein, just a salad. I'm getting all the toxins in the lettuce, and I'm getting almost no protein. I'm getting almost no vitamins.
I hear you.
Nothing.
I hear
if
you.
I eat the butter, I'm getting all of it. Now
you're
I know
not
eating
wrong.
butter.
You're the heart of your point is not wrong. I wouldn't say that, not at all. I just it depends on the person too. Someone like Bobby, a stick of butter each day.
The butter's not helping him lose weight.
Lose a ton of eating butter and not eating carbs. You're gonna lose a ton of weight. Right?
He'll lose more weight if he eats healthy and not butter.
Yes. Why not
Jake? You eat phthalates and forever chemicals. We're not really interested in anything you have to say about diet.
What are you talking about?
First off, you talked about this 100 times. You eat Chipotle every day, which is all over the news for having forever chemicals. Gary,
there's a difference in what I put in my body. There's a difference in what I put in my body and what Bobby puts in his body at his current weight. You can't even compare.
Well, activity level.
Because you're 27 or 28, so you can eat garbage. I used to eat garbage too. I used to eat as much garbage.
I'm older than that, but I appreciate you calling me young.
You're under 30, right?
I don't understand how you could sit here and act like Bobby eating a stick of butter a day is somehow good for his health. What will be good for his health is exercise and not eating a stick of butter a day.
I'm 12% body fat, right? I'm a former athlete. I think I know what I'm talking about a little bit.
Hi, guys. I'm back.
Gary, do you do the intermittent fasting too or no?
I eat once a day. So I eat and then
I only eat once a day too.
Yeah.
Yeah, I kind of got into that accidentally because I couldn't eat.
But I eat 3. I don't eat but every day. I eat it 3 times a week. And then I have cottage cheese. I love my cottage cheese. Right, that's good. Right, Gary, cottage cheese from cows.
Anything that comes from an animal is good.
Yeah, I think the more important thing to me is just activity level. Get that bad boy.
Yeah, I'm getting there.
It's good.
Bobby is getting 0 exercise. Butter is bad for him, says Jake West.
Well, because of
butter's
the
not
snow
bad
up
for
here
you.
in
Zero
Vermont,
exercise is
Jake
bad for
West, it's a lot better today. I could go outside and walk today.
See,
Shake my head. This is going to end bad. If Bobby gets seriously sick from all the butter he's eating, you got blood on your hands, Gary.
Yes, I do. If Bobby gets sick from eating butter,
Well,
which
what
people have
about
been
when
eating for
Jake
4,500
West
years,
dry humped
I
me?
will
That
have
was
butter
even
all over my
worse.
hands. If he was
Jake
eating
West dry
protein
humped me.
bars and eating forever chemicals like you do, then that would be normal, right? Except if you eat the food that's presented to you in the normal American diet, like I said, you'll be 70 pounds overweight, right? You'll be morbidly obese. You'll be on 4 or 5 different prescriptions, and you'll have diabetes. But if you do mine, you'll kill all those things.
again, Gary, your premise is 100% right. Like I don't disagree with anything. It's just the amount of butter for
Butter is
Bobby.
83%
If
carbs,
he-
9% fat, 8% protein.
If he was eating, no, that's wrong. If he's eating, it's not
there's no
9% carbs.
carbs in
Yeah,
butter. I don't
it's
know
like
what you
people
think,
just
you-
come up and say dumb things. If he was eating cheese instead, if he was eating cheese or milk, if he was drinking a half a gallon of milk like I used to as a kid, would you have any problems with that?
how much?
Half a gallon of milk a day.
Well, I really don't. drink
Yeah.
that much. I
That's
like
too much
that
milk.
juice.
It's a lot of milk. It's a lot of milk.
So
Okay.
should he drink soda?
Half a
instead?
gallon? Half a
No,
gallon a
I
day?
don't drink
I used to
soda
drink half
either.
a gallon of milk a day as a kid. But
Yeah.
like when I was a kid,
I drank a
that's
lot
all
of milk
drank as a
too.
kid.
I drank a lot of milk too growing up.
Did you die from it?
Cactus Johnny
No,
says
that's
people
an
just come up with dumb
extreme.
things.
But
That's
that's going
literally all
extreme.
you do, Gary.
Cactus Jack, won't you mind your own business?
Like I said, I'm 41 years old,
And then,
12% body
no,
fat. I have the testosterone of a 21-year-old. I don't know. I'm doing something right. I'm getting advice from people who are 70 pounds overweight, morbidly obese, can't do 40 push-ups, need a pill to make their dick work, and are on 5 different prescriptions. I don't know.
What
I don't
about
know.
Whoa.
I just run 3 miles a day.
Metro
Like,
Funny
There you
lost
go. Running
40
is
pounds,
great.
Gary,
Running
in a
is
month.
great. Well,
Metro
yeah,
Funny-
Metro Funny lost 40 pounds in a month, and he's no longer pre-diabetic because he
From
took my
eating
advice.
butter sticks?
Because he eats
Yes.
meat and butter. Yes.
That's not
This
what
is
we're
not
disputing.
complicated.
That's not what we're disputing. Bobby could eat meat and have no butter, and he'd lose weight. He'd lose more weight than
He could
adding
eat-
butter
yeah.
to his diet.
The best diet I can ever recommend is a lion's diet.
Is
It's
no
only
butter
red
and just eating only red
just
meat.
cut carbs.
the
I
best
eat
diet
turkey
you can do,
meat,
and I will
chicken
stand by it.
meat, hamburger.
Also,
Meat and
you have
he
no
could even do-
idea. Hold on. You have no idea which asmaniacs can't get their
No,
Mr. Happy Up. You have no clue.
40% of 40-year-olds need a pill to get
Oh,
Mr.
talk
Happy
about
Up.
that. I want to bring that up
Okay.
on the game. Remember what happened when Aaron Rodgers is sitting on the bench and he's smiling? And one of the commenters says, "Oh, look at Mr. Happy." I said, "Oh my God, Mr. Happy."
I'm not
Oh,
naming anyone
Bobby, your
in
mind
particular.
goes
I'm
to
just,
places,
in
man.
general, by and large.
Well, when
that's
he
the
put him
condition of the
Mr.
average
Happy,
American.
it was funny. That's what I call my little pecker, Mr. Happy.
All right. That's enough butter nonsense for now.
Dicker the kicker. Actually, I don't want to. He says, I just do math, but not exactly math.
I mean, talk about Gary going after the entire audience, saying everyone needs boner pills around here. Jeez.
No, I'm doing okay.
Speaking of which, if
I get my
Cialis
work
or
in.
Viagra wants to sponsor the channel, we'll definitely listen. All right.
Listen again. Gary's his premise is 100% correct. It's just the extreme, the level for which and hey, listen. Sometimes when you're working out and you gotta stick to a diet and you have those medical issues, I get it. You have to be fully committed, 100%. And if it works for Gary, great. But damn, a stick of butter for Bobby each day. No,
If Bobby just did Gary's diet without the butter, he'd lose way more weight. That's what Gary refused to acknowledge.
yeah. Again, it's not the extreme. Like butter itself is not the issue. It's the
Amount of it. He's
It's
having
the
too much butter. He
lifestyle.
doesn't
Yeah.
exercise. He can't move.
yes, it's the amount and lifestyle. Correct. And cut out
Fiore.
sugary. Does Bobby drink sugary stuff? Like, what is he drinking? Does he ever drink stuff when he's on?
He did. He was drinking a ton of soda, but we got him to drink water.
Okay, there we go. That's huge. Yeah.
Super chat from Fiore. If we agree the Jets need to retool, not rebuild, if you cut Rodgers, who's your plan B? It can't be Tyrod. What is a legit second option? Garrett and others can't keep losing without looking to leave. Yeah, this is the ultimate debate, right? If you move on from Rodgers, what's your plan? It can't just be Tyrod, and then you got to tell me what else.
Yeah, I think it's it's getting into Bobby's world. It's premature to say Rodgers should not come back. No way. Leave it as an option. Let him play out the last 3 games, see what he's feeling, and let him check in on the process from afar, see what they're doing in terms of trying to find the right leadership, and go from there.
If you're watching this live right now, God bless you for surviving that butter exchange. Please click the like button and make sure you're subscribed to the channel. We have another contest we're going to start to run on the channel here. The winner will get an item from the merch store. You have to decode whatever BMAX hat is. No one seems to know. But if you figure it out, we'll send you an item from the merch store. A new game, sweeping the nation. Guess whatever the hell is on BMAX hat.
That's a hell of a game. I don't think anyone's going to get that.
Doubtful. Kyle Clifton has gifted yet another membership. If you hear your name called, Kyle Clifton just made you an official channel member. And that went to listener. Where to go? YouTube is really slow with giving me my members here. Brandon McNeely is the recipient of the channel membership. Robbie, any final thoughts on the way out of here? What is cooking up at Jets X Factor this week?
Butter.
Cooking
we got some
with
good
butter?
stuff. Popcorn with 2 sticks of butter for that great movie popcorn flavoring. Now Fialco, he's coming on this afternoon, right, with you?
He'll be on at 4 p.m. for the film review.
He dropped one yesterday at JetX. How much does Aaron Rodgers' Jags game matter? It's really good. Check out that article. Brandon Pokras had a QB options article drop yesterday. I'm cooking up something right now in terms of just
With
don't
butter?
mention rebuild.
Oh, hold on. Steve had a question. I missed it earlier. Steve, thanks
What?
for the reminder. I had it bookmarked, but then here it is. Can't the GM and coaching jobs be viewed favorably because you could bring Rodgers back as a bridge and draft your own quarterback when available? Great job,
Yeah.
guys. Yeah, Steve, I've made this point. I think this is a good job. Now, the concern will be, well, is ownership going to meddle? But Woody's not known to meddle right away. He only started meddling because the team sucked and he got impatient. And, he thought firing Saleh at 2-3 was going to save the season, not completely throw it off the rails. I'm not excusing it. It was a horrible decision in hindsight. But, give me other examples where Woody has meddled. Like you had Mike Tannenbaum say that he worked for the guy for 16 years, including 7 as the GM. He didn't meddle once. Like
Right.
Douglas got plenty of time to build the roster his way. Woody signed the checks for all the moves this previous regime wanted to make. So I think at the end of the day, there is a selling point. If Rodgers plays well, hey, you have him for a year if you want him. You could try and win next year, and then you can get your quarterback in the draft this year behind him or next year. I'm 100% using that as a selling point if I'm the Jets trying to sell people on this job.
It extends your shelf life. And whether or not Belichick was serious, whether he was trolling or whatever, doesn't matter. I mean, it's a win for the Jets. Because the perception is they can't bring in quality candidates. No one wants the job. Oh, Bill Belichick's interested. Wherever the truth lies, it doesn't matter because that perception is damaged a little bit more. So agreed. That situation extends the shelf life of the next regime. And, again, I'm working up some right now. Just don't mention a rebuild with this team. This team has too much talent and is ready to win now. They just need leadership, period.
They need leadership, and they need butter sticks.
And I'll drop a butter line in that article somewhere and send it to you. Don't you
Just
worry.
for the Asmaniacs. I love it.
Don't you worry. It's going to be in there.
Robbie, all the love, man. Thanks for coming on.
All right. Later, guys.
Ladies and gentlemen, the great Robby Sabo and his weekly spot on the show, jetsxfactor.com, the place to get all your daily Jet content. Right, Gary? Gary? Yoo-hoo, Gary. All right, let's get back into your calls right now. Gusbuster Hotline is open. I'll stay on a little while longer as the calls keep coming in. V-Man is here. How we feeling?
Hi, okay. Yeah.
Hello, V-Man.
Oh, did I not change my profile name thing? Oh, I forgot to change it. Whatever.
It says Linus. Where's Linus? I don't see Linus.
Oh no, because I called into Matt's pregame show and talk as Linus.
Ah, look at you. You dog. Get it?
Yeah. Oh no, it was funny. It was funny. But yeah, no, let's get to the football talk. 'Cause I just actually was just watching Matt's video on his opinion on Dimitroff. I think it's a good pick. I'm gonna get, obviously you're gonna have favoritism from knowing the guy personally, and the points that he made is, yes, he's drafted a lot of good skill position players, and weakness has been line, particularly deep, and particularly the Falcons' weaknesses during his tenure were defensively. But I don't know if the Jets' defense it has problems, but I don't know if they're incredibly crippling problems. There's still a lot of talent on the defense. It's just a few touch-up spots. And I do think, when it comes to like a GM person, like you can just always, like, we all know every person is going to have a weakness in their area, It was like it with defensive coaches. It's why they try to bring in good OCs to complement them. Or, an offensive coach tries to make sure to find someone with a very good defensive background, Same thing can apply to the GM office. Like, you can bring in your right hand man, which would be your assistant, who's going to be able to have, a pedigree, who's going to help shore up your weaknesses. And I do think Dimitroff could bring in someone that could shore up, maybe some of his struggles when it comes to getting defensive players on the line, and players on offensive line, and other things like that. I do like the idea that, yes, he was in New England when Vrabel was a player, so maybe that's someone that Vrabel would be comfortable with. I think that's another good selling point of his. I think
the selling point is he's hired 2 coaches previously that were successful, that made the playoffs. Dan Quinn's on his second head coaching job now because of the job he did in Atlanta. And I also think,
the job he did with the Cowboys defense.
Of course, yeah. I mean, we know he's a good DC. That's what got him the Atlanta job in the first place. But I look at it like this: if you want someone with experience that's not learning on the job, there's not very many guys you're going to find out there that have a resume as accomplished as him. I'm not saying he's the only guy with experience that would make sense, but he's certainly up there in the conversation.
Yeah, I agree. I agree completely.
Now, what are you holding in your hand here that you can't wait to show off? I know you too well.
No, my mom was digging around with this. My mom's a sentimental person, so she kept her great aunt's driver's license from Puerto Rico.
All right, let's see it. Here we go.
By the way, no relation to Hector Macho Camacho or former Puerto Rican Governor Luis A. Ferrer.
Thank you for clarifying. Tremendous.
You can actually see, like, if you look at my YouTube profile, the character profile is the name of is actually Ruiz Belvis. This that the street's named after.
Really?
But I know that's not what you're really here for, because it's the holiday time, so I know what you want to see.
Oh, here we go.
Yeah, I actually even made it a label. It's not done yet. I ordered some wax to seal the bottle so I could have a stamp for it so I could seal it and stamp it. But you can see I made the label. It's Old San Juan.
Is V-Man a bigger fan of Puerto Rico or the Jets?
Oh, you're gonna love this, Jake. I don't know if you can read that. It says serving size as much as you like.
Thank you for this, V-Man. Yep.
No, yeah.
John says, V-Man, let me get a shot.
You don't drink this in a shot. You drink it in a mug. You get a mug and you drink this.
J Quest writes in, "Who cares? Christ, I wish we were not 4-10."
J Quest being a sourpuss.
I agree. J Quest, you're a sourpuss.
But with the GM stuff, yeah, like I said, I think I agree with you. I like Dimitroff. I think he's probably a guy that would probably be on would be on Vrabel's list of people he'd probably be comfortable working with. I think, like I said, I agree that you need they probably want someone with a more experienced background. This is not the Jets are not the type of situation right now where what you'd say a raw recruit is gonna fare well. So I think, like I said,
Raw
bring in
recruit. It's an interesting
raw.
terminology.
Yeah, raw. Like that's it. If you're a GM for the first time, you're raw. Like it's your first go around. You're a greenhorn. If you will, using military jargon.
John says, "I don't care how you pour it. I'm taking it as a shot."
Like this is basically Puerto. This is like Puerto Rico's equivalent of eggnog. You don't drink. Do you drink eggnog in shots, or do you drink eggnog in a mug?
I don't think I've ever had eggnog.
No, I've never had it either. It's disgusting. This is why it doesn't put. That's why
It's disgusting. I don't know about that. Some people like it.
Well, to each their own. I'm Puerto Rican. This is what we drink, and it's better. It's better. It's better.
Alan
Yeah.
writes in, if there wasn't alcohol, V-Man would be quite useless.
Oh, Alan's being a bicho.
Oh, you got him.
Oh, come on. He's always been a bicho. Nothing.
Any other thoughts from V-Mom? We'll get her take on the situation. Who should the Jets hire?
No, she's good, but you can ask Linus. I'll go get Linus.
Should they bring Rodgers back?
I'll go get Linus. Maybe you can ask him.
Oh God, here we go. For those wondering, is there anyone else on hold? The answer is yes. It's just Gary, who's not even here. So the V-Man call will continue. So step it up, people.
Linus, who do you want? Who do you want to be the Jets? Who do you want the Jets to get a GM?
I heard you got yelled at by Tyson on his show last night.
Yeah, I did.
I heard he owned you.
What? I could care less. I'm just because he actually thinks the Belichick stuff was sincere.
He wanted them to hire him?
No, but he thinks that how I think Belichick was just throwing out the rumor to Tannenbaum to just throw some last minute shade at the Jets. Well, he thinks that Belichick was actually actually have considered the Jets' job.
Maybe he would have.
I don't think so. Like I said.
But guess what? I wouldn't have hired him, even if he wanted the job.
No. Yeah, no, I wouldn't hire him either. But Tyson is just that's his opinion. He's fine to his own opinion. I disagree. And also I don't think Belichick is that good anymore. I don't think he would take this job. I wouldn't give him the job because I wouldn't give him complete control. And I think I don't know what Tyson's real opinion is, because it just got into a heated back and forth argument. But like I said, I'm just not a guy that would even bring I wouldn't even like to bring him in around this organization. It's just I just wouldn't out of respect for how much pain and suffering he's caused this franchise. I don't think he should step 5 feet near this organization.
Big fella writes in, do Linus and V-Man have in-depth conversations?
Yeah. No, Linus just sits there and stares into space.
Alan writes in, my dog is looking at Linus and barking incessantly.
Oh, shut up, Alan. Shut up, you beat. No. This guy Alan made a fucking ice joke. Immigration joke. Disgusting, really in poor taste jokes.
Yeti writes in, we're 4-10. Can we talk more about eggnog?
No. No. No, it's no,
John wants to know, did you just meow at your dog?
No. No, no, if you actually watch the pregame Mattler's pregame show from this Sunday, I was talking as a dog, and that was just me doing the voice. I'm surprised that there's no one else calling in by now.
We got someone else on the line. Let's say hello to Gary. He's next. Hey, Gary.
Gary's still not back.
What are your thoughts on the butter discussion, B-Man? Any takes on that?
This is ridiculous. I will say though, the weight problem, the obesity problem in America is nothing to do with sugar. It's corn syrup. You know it. No, look. Because you actually look at it, they'll tell you there's no difference between sugar and corn syrup. But the fact of the matter is that companies in America began transitioning from sugar to high fructose corn syrup in the 80s, and that's around the same time you have the spike in type 2 diabetes and obesity. They did a study. They found that the countries that use, it was on you can find it on WebMD, you can find it online, but they did a study that countries that use primarily sugar in their foods and beverages have a 20% lower rate of diabetes and obesity than countries that primarily use high fructose corn syrup in their food and drink. Think about it.
B-Man, thank you for the time today. You provided a lot.
Yeah. No, as I say, bye, Linus.
You gonna meow again? You definitely meowed, by the way.
Meow.
That's the end of that V-Man call. Now he can go back to sleeping.
Unbelievable. John says, okay, go back to Gary. I'm not taking nutrition information from V-Man. Gary? 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 Still not back with us. Let's say hello right now to the Hamburger. He's up next. Hey, Hamburger.
Hey, what's up, Jake? How you doing?
What's up, man?
Not much. Get my car ready for the winter, so waiting on Amazon. I just got one thing, so just waiting on a few more.
Very nice.
Yeah. Been in and out of your show a little bit today, but I did hear Robby earlier talking about the tank and stuff like that, and I couldn't agree with him more that it puts that in the players that we have coming back next year, their mind, that winning mentality. You don't want to go out on a tank. No one likes losers. No one wants to be a loser. So, it doesn't matter. We're going to be where we are in the draft. You can't even really point out too many guys other than the 1-2 quarterback picks that they're going to take that we're not going to get our hands on anyway. So let our new GM come in. I don't know much about the GM candidates. I do like Dorsey, but I really didn't dig in too much of the GM candidates. It's too much for me to dig into right now. But listen, man, I just want this team to win out. They're not gonna, but I want them to feel good about going into next year because we have a good roster. And I think at this point, I said in the chat earlier, if Aaron throws well this week again, like he did last week, I'll be standing on my rooftop calling for Aaron to be back next year. But until I can see it again, I need at least one more start, and then I'll be 100% on board and be on your show like an Aaron truther. But right now, I'm still a little on the fence. But let's see if he can change my mind this weekend.
Look, but they don't got to make the decision now. That's the beauty of it. There's still 3 games to go, and the competition down the stretch, at least the next 2, is a way better litmus test than the Jaguars, whose defense is not any good.
Yeah, without a doubt. That's what I'm looking forward to, man. I'm looking forward to a challenge to him. If he can step up and deliver and still move when he's in a little colder weather, not being in the Florida heat, I think it's a good test for these last 3 games for him. And he has one more home game we have?
2.
2 more. All right. So we'll see, man. I'm excited for the last 3 games. Like I said, I love winning football. So regardless of our record right now, I still want to see him win. So
Hamburger,
you guys enjoy your day.
Call. Enjoy the great outdoors, Hamburger. We love it. Ladies and gentlemen, let's get back to more of your calls right now. JT is next. Hey, JT. Not JT. JT is right here.
Oh.
What's up, JT?
Oh, hey. Yeah, what's up, Jake? I had to put an end to that V-Man that V-Man spectacular that happened right there. Now back to some Jets talk. I know this team is 4-10.
Are you at Kyle Clifton's house, by the way?
No, I'll probably use the same filter as him though. um, so on the quarterback situation, I believe you've said you're not with taking Rodgers back next year. That's right, right?
That I
Yeah,
don't
at
want
least.
Rodgers back next year. You're saying?
Yeah.
I mean, 2 weeks ago, I felt like there was no way. I'm more open to it. I have like, I put out a short on this and talked about it on the postgame show. I want the three things to happen if he's the quarterback. The biggest one being, I want the GM and coach to want him back. Like, I want them making that decision. Like, I don't want ownership being like, you got to keep Rodgers. Like, I want GM and coach to evaluate the roster and go, yep, our plan is Aaron as the quarterback next year because that's the direction we want to go. So that's the first thing for me. What I would do, I'm not ready to really know because I want to see how the final 3 games go. I mean, like, if he plays like he did the last 2 games, then yeah, I want him back. But I don't know how realistic that is. Let's see what it looks like against the Rams in the cold. It's going to be 25 degrees on Sunday. Let's see what it looks like against the Bills in Buffalo and home against Miami.
Right, yeah. So my thing with Rodgers is I think he has an issue with he just has tunnel vision for Devontae now ever since we got him. And he's trying to force everything to Devontae. Like, I feel like 85% of his throws are in Devontae's direction, whether he's triple covered, single covered, what it be. And his throws just don't seem there to me. I don't know, man. I mean, he hit Devontae. I mean, him and Devontae went off this past weekend, but his throws just don't seem off. He's still missing throws, and that's in sunny Florida weather. I don't like taking Rodgers. I don't like the idea of having Rodgers next year. I think
it wasn't that off,
like,
though, to be fair to him on Sunday. Like, every quarterback could have missed throws here or there. He played well. I mean, only could we as Jet fans nitpick a 3-touchdown, nearly 300-yard performance in a win. And the knock on Rodgers was he wasn't clutch in the fourth quarter. I mean, the biggest throw he made was that dime he threw to Devontae on the third.
To Devontae downfield. I'll give him that. Like this performance definitely opens up the mind a little bit more, but I'm still not on board with keeping him. Isn't the cap ramifications significant in 2026 if he stays next year?
It is, yeah, and you could spread it out over 2, but it's still a lot, and that's what a new GM will decide. Or maybe Rodgers realizes if he wants to play next year, his only chance to be the starters with the Jets. And if he wants to play with Devontae, maybe he takes less, and Devontae could get some money, and you can mitigate the dead cap. I mean, I don't rule that out either. Like, I think it depends who they hire. Like, let's say they hire Mike Vrabel, and Vrabel's like, Aaron, we want you back, but we can't keep you if you're not willing to take a pay cut. That maybe he would for the right coach. So there's just so many factors we don't know about yet.
Right. I wouldn't complain if we have Rodgers for next year. It just wouldn't be my first move. If we didn't go on from Rodgers, would you want Tyrod as the bridge, or like what would you want to do with that if we don't have Rodgers next year?
I would keep Tyrod potentially. I'm still drafting a quarterback in the first round or on day 2.
Yeah.
I'm probably trying to add more competition to the room. I might do what the Steelers did, right? They bring in Justin Fields and Russell Wilson, have them battle it out. And with the right coach, you can still win games. I'm not saying the Jets are going to hire the next Mike Tomlin, but, if you hire Mike Vrabel in your quarterback room next year, say it's Tyrod, Fields, and a rookie or Jordan Travis or someone, like, all right, fix the defense, add some discipline, get the kicking game figured out, and be competitive in the AFC. That could be the goal.
That's kind of my ideal move is what I was thinking, is have Tyrod and Justin Fields compete. I still think there's something left in Justin Fields. I don't know.
He's gotten better every year. He's young. What opens me up to Justin Fields is seeing some of the other young quarterbacks around the league on different teams eventually find success. Darnold, Baker, like there's examples of it. So maybe
he's aging Bogino.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. See, that's kind of where I'm at. I think Field just needs that fresh environment, new chance, not competing with a Super Bowl champion vet. You know what I mean? I think that kind of environment would help. Math, not math. You got to smash that like, though. That is an actual fact. Good point. Make sure I did. Absolutely, I did. I got to get back to work, though. It's been fun. I just wanted to kind of turn that off of the V-Man and Linus show for a little bit. So I figured I'd call in and shoot the shit with you a little bit. But thanks for having me on. Enjoy your day, Jake.
JT, great call. Next time we'll have you play the piano behind you. Ladies and gentlemen, hit the like button if you're just tuning in. That helps the channel grow. We'll get to more of your calls coming up on the Gusbuster hotline. Let's say hello right now to Charlie the dog groomer. Hello, Charlie. Charlie, you got to unmute your mic, my friend.
Hold on. You hear me now?
Yes, sir.
It's been a while, huh?
Yeah, where you been, man?
The Jets has had me so pissed off that I was just listening. I still listen to you every day.
I appreciate it, man. How's the dog grooming business going?
It's good. I'm done with this dog, but I'll chat with you for a few minutes, then I'll send this one back. So I partially, I mostly agree with Gary on the butter. I'll get the butter thing out of the way real quick. I went on the keto diet about 2 years ago. Maybe actually, you know what? Maybe it was like 4 years ago. It's hard to remember. And it was a lot of butter. It was a lot of meat. It was salad. No carbs. Like you can have like up to like maybe.
Whoa, salad is like
yeah.
the worst thing you could do, man. This is Gary's nightmare right here.
Yeah, well, keto is different than carnivore. So with keto, you're allowed to have. It's like I think it's like something like 30% meat, and then you got 75. I think it's like 15% meat, 35% fat, and like 30% vegetable, something like that. Probably the math's all off, but it's just no carbs. So for example, if you do salad, you typically will choose something that like a salad dressing that has maybe like four net carbs rather than like some of these ranch dressings that have like an insane amount of carbs in it. So essentially your body goes into something called ketosis, where instead of feeding your body carbs and you use that for fuel, say for in the gym or during your workday, your body is using the fat that you're consuming through butter, through avocado, through the meat, the fat that's in different meats and stuff. And then your body goes into a state of ketosis and you burn fat for fuel. So essentially the fat storages within your stomach or your thighs or anywhere, your body's eating up those fat storages, and that's how people drop a lot of weight in the keto diet. I know that Gary does carnivore, which I haven't fully done, but I wasn't a big vegetable person anyway, so I probably did a lot less vegetable than maybe other people in the keto diet. So I was probably closer to carnivore than maybe some other people that have done that diet. Yeah.
All right, Charlie. Well, I'm happy for your diet. What else you got for us?
I don't know about the full stick of butter, though. I will say that. I did do butter, but maybe not the full stick of butter. But there's good science that goes with it. They've done studies on, healthy fats. But watch out for the saturated fats. You don't want trans fats. You don't want saturated. You want healthy fats, butter, avocado, meat. But anyway, on the Rodgers discussion and the GM search, I'm for bringing Rodgers back. I agree with the likes of like a Joe Beningo and you seem pretty open to it. I'll be honest though, the last few weeks have opened my mind up a little bit more about the Rodgers and him coming back. I just don't see another quarterback that could be a better bridge than Rodgers right now. Some people might say Jameis Winston. Yeah, I mean he's had some good games and he's had spurts, but he could be a turnover machine, which I don't like. He had like that one year where he had like how many touchdowns was it? And he had the same amount of interceptions. And maybe you remember the number,
but 30 and 30.
30 and 30. Yeah, 30 and 30. That's what I was thinking. I wasn't sure if it was right. So I don't think there could be a better bridge than Rodgers. And I do like the GM that you did that interview with, the Falcons GM. I do like him. I listened to the video that you had that you put out there. I think it was yesterday. Yeah, I like Joe Douglas, but the media, I don't think would have allowed the Jets to keep him after what happened this year. And with the record, where the record was, of course, there's other factors than just the GM when it comes to the record, but that he had. But yeah, those are my thoughts. I like the GM guy that you seem to be high on, and I'm down with Aaron Rodgers coming back for just one season, maybe just to have the rookie set. But we definitely need to draft a quarterback.
Yeah, look, that's going to be the decision that ultimately the next regime is going to make. And there's a path for Aaron to be back, but it's a complicated path. Still 3 games to go, though, so there's still new information. By the way, Charlie, we got to show off one of the dogs here, so you're back on. There it is. Look at that dog. Oh, yeah.
Well,
ladies and gentlemen, Charlie the dog groomer. He's back. Hit the like button if you're just tuning in. Comments, questions, super chats. We'll cut the line. Appreciate everyone supporting the show. Gator writes in, Gary has 15 ailments, all cured by shoving a stick of butter up his butthole. That is a strong take. Gary, is this true?
I've had 15 ailments cured by going carnivore. Yeah, it's just the health benefits are incredible. But yeah, there's no sodomy involved or anything like that. It's I take it orally, and I know that's gonna sound weird after what we just said, but there's no shoving in it. I don't know why it triggers people that eating butter and bacon and beef are curing and make you better. I don't understand why that triggers people.
Because Bobby shouldn't be eating a stick of butter every day.
If he wanted to only eat beef, right? Like for 3 months, I did the Lions diet, which is only beef. Only
He should have some salad. He should mix in a salad.
He should not have salad.
Hello, Gary. I am going to kill you because you eat only butter. You need a salad like me.
These are the things we're talking about here. 4-10 football team. Man with a rake. More nanny. Gary's your nanny around. Man with a rake in Florida is requesting that. Speaking of Florida, ladies and gentlemen, let's stir the pot. Ted's on the line. Hello, Ted.
Love to follow all this butter talk. Hi, Jake.
I caught your call on Boy Green this morning. You're spreading the anti-Mike Vrabel agenda.
I caught your comment too. It's interesting. I happen to rebut it though, but that's okay. Listen, I did a deeper dive into some of the stats on Mike Vrabel, and unfortunately, it's worse than I thought. Derrick Henry in 2019 had 300 rushing attempts, and in 2019 300 rushing attempts. 2020 349 rushing attempts. So, anybody can do that, but that's not how you win in the NFL, Jake. That's not how we do it anymore. Another thing, Ricky NY said that I was doing lazy analysis, but
hold on. What do you mean that's not how you do it in the NFL anymore? Like if you have a great running game, you can win.
You don't take one guy and run him 350 times in the season.
I agree. Derrick Henry is an outlier, but the Jets have. What do the Jets have? They have 3 quality running backs, including a guy who's a star in Brees.
Hey, he's not okay.
What do you mean he's not? He's not what?
Okay, Brees is good, but I am looking for like a James Conner. That's the kind of running back you need. A guy who's not afraid of contact.
You think James Conner is a better? I'm just asking. You think James Conner is a better running back than Brees Hall?
I didn't say he was better. I said I would love to have an alpha running back who's not afraid to run into the hole, doesn't dance around, and kind of, I would say, enjoys physical contact or doesn't mind putting his head down and running over somebody. That's the kind of running back I would like to have. Brees is a nice back, though. Don't get me wrong. Sure.
So Braylon Allen.
Sure. But my point was, yeah, Jake. My point was,
well, it's good because he's under contract for 3 more years.
No, I gotcha. My point is that Vrabel can line Derrick Henry up in the eye and run him 60% of his offense through that. That's not how they do it anymore. We don't do no NFL team does that anymore. So that you talk about coaches changing their stripes. Let's see if he could do it. Did
you look at the year Derrick Henry was out and they were the 1 seed and he missed a lot of the season? I'm pretty sure it was that season. Do you remember that year?
You can give me the stats. What year was that?
Well, I'm trying to pull it up right now because you're trying to slander Mike Vrabel because he maximized a great running game. Well, the good news is the Jets have some pretty good running backs for Mike Vrabel to have a ground and pound offense and fix the defense and hold guys accountable.
But Jake, I'm not trying to slander him. I'm just trying to say he's not the god of NFL candidates right now.
I don't think he's the god. I don't think he's the god of NFL candidates either. But you're talking about him like he's a bad coach. And your original take was not that. Your original take was you wouldn't hire him because he was in the Patriots Ring of Honor, which I think is one of the dumbest takes that has ever been said in the history of the show.
You are correct. I never got a chance to get my other points out. That is correct. About the fact that he's an under 500. He's a 540 percentage head coach. That was my other point. He's not
What was
Vince
the Titans'
Lombardi.
record in 2021, Ted? I'm just curious.
I don't have that in front of me. What you tell me?
So the Tennessee Titans in 2021, they were 12-5. They were the number 1 seed in the AFC that year. And how many games did Derrick Henry play that season? If you think Mike Vrabel's success is all Derrick Henry, do you
I
know?
didn't say it was all Derrick Henry. Hold on, Jake. I never said he was all Derrick Henry.
Just answer the question. I'm just asking that you only have brought up Derrick Henry is why this guy had any success, saying it wouldn't work. But he didn't have Derrick Henry the year they were 12-5 and were the 1 seed in the playoffs. How many games did he play?
I don't know. You tell me.
He played in 8 of 17 games that year.
Okay, and who was the other running backs, and how many yards did they get?
Let's look at their season. I mean, Tannehill obviously played a really good played well that year. Let's see.
Okay, that's an outlier then, though. You're picking an outlier year then.
What do you mean I'm taking an outlier year? He's won in multiple years, a variety of different ways, in my point, with a variety of different offensive coordinators. That's the point. The guy's a coach. He's not a one-trick pony. Okay. He's a good football coach. That's why I want him. He had a winning record. He won 9 or more games in 4 of his 6 years. They won 2 division titles. They went to an AFC championship game with a mediocre at best quarterback. He ended the Patriot dynasty by beating Brady and Bill in their last game together on the road. He's done a lot. He went into Baltimore and upset the number 1 seeded Ravens one of those years. Like, he's a really good coach. That's what we're talking about.
Okay, fair enough.
So make your point.
2 and 4 in the playoffs.
What,
I was asking.
What should his record be?
Jake,
what should his playoff record be, Ted?
You haven't told me. You haven't told me what the other running backs did that year.
I don't think it matters, but I will look it up for you right now, and we will find out. But I don't think it matters at all in the overall point of what we're talking about.
Okay. Yes, he is a good coach. I'm not saying, but and my point originally was on your a couple of days ago was I don't know if he's right for the Jets per se. There could be other options that could be better, including like an Aaron Glenn type. That was my point. Not saying I never said he wasn't a good coach. But if you run your running back 350 times in a season,
oh my God,
that kind of tells you something. I got you.
No, it doesn't tell me anything because when he didn't have Derrick Henry, they were the 1 seed. When Derrick Henry played in half the games that year, and you say you wouldn't hire the guy because he's in the Patriots' Ring of Honor. That is an asinine statement. You lose all credibility when that was your take.
Okay, fair enough, Jake. Fair enough. I'll admit to that. Secondly, I don't think he'll come here anyway. That's my
point. Here were the running backs that year. Okay. Deontay Foreman, Jeremy McNichols, and Dontrell Hillard. Oh, and Adrian Peterson, who appeared in 3 games that year.
Okay, do you have the amount of rushing yards they had that year? Because Henry was averaging about 14 or 1,500 this season.
Here, whenever you're ready. All right? Whenever you're ready, Ted.
I'm ready.
All right?
I'm ready.
Ladies and gentlemen, Derrick Henry that year in 8 games had 937 yards.
Okay.
Deontay Foreman had 566 yards.
That's
Dontrell Hillard had 350 yards. Jeremy McNichols had 156 yards. You were saying.
Unfortunately, you proved my point. You proved my point.
No, I did not prove anything, Ted. You proved that you don't know what you're talking about. You only gave him credit because you said he won because he had Derrick Henry. Then, when we talk about a bunch of other running backs who aren't any good and they still had a successful running game, that tells me the guy could coach to the personnel he has, which would tell me the Jets, who do have a staple of quality running backs and an offensive line that's under contract, and a more talented roster, you could argue, than some of those Titans teams he won with, they would have a chance to win. That's what I'm saying to you, but you do not understand what you're even arguing.
Jake, my point was...
Ted. Please, make your point, Ted.
I am. He relied on Derrick Henry, and the year Derrick Henry was hurt, the other running backs made up the yards that Henry got. He was predominantly, you're looking at 1,700 or 1,800 yards that year for his running backs, correct? That's predominantly a run-heavy offense, correct?
Ted,
yes?
What's the Eagles' offense?
No?
Would you say the Eagles? What's the Eagles' offense right now?
We're talking about the Titans right now, Jake.
No, you're knocking Mike Vrabel. You're knocking Mike Vrabel because he won by featuring a strong running game, as if that's a knock on the guy's resume. You're a fool. You're a fool. Just take the L. Just say I don't know what I'm talking about.
I'm just saying. I'm just saying. There's you
When was
can't
the last
win
time the Jets had
relying on the
success,
running
Ted?
game.
Who was the head coach?
Except for the
What was the team?
Steelers. Except for the Steelers.
What was their offense? Ground and pound with Mark Sanchez. And Rex Ryan gets credit for going to the championship game. Why? Because he was able to get by with a below average quarterback play. That's coaching, man. That's what you got to adapt to your personnel. What are you even arguing? How do you know
Arguing
Aaron
that
Glenn
he
would
ran
be
the
better?
ball 300 times with Derrick Henry. I don't know, Jake.
Not the
but he's
year
a
they were
Jet.
the 1 seed, which just further proves my
but
point
it's-
that he is a good football
Okay, Jake.
coach.
All right, Jake. They won a 1 seed that year. Okay, so what?
What? Have you watched
They
the
didn't
Jets
win
play
anything.
football, Ted? Have you watched the Jets play football?
Yes.
And now we're
yes,
going
it's
to
in my
belittle.
name. Jake,
So we're
Jake,
gonna
it's in
knock
my
a
name.
12
My name is NY
season.
Jets Florida. Yes, my name is NY Jets Florida. Yes, I am a fan and I watch football. Yes. I've never said that he was not a good coach. He's a very good coach. I just said he predominantly.
what's your argument?
You do not run a 300. He ran Derrick Henry into the fucking ground. Is basically his offense. That's my point.
How's Derrick Henry doing this year for the Ravens? Has he been running to the ground, or the guy's a superhuman football player?
No.
Just take
Does he
the
have
L, dude.
300?
You lost. You
Jake,
lost. You brought
Jake,
up Derrick Henry
does-
as the only excuse why he had success. I called you on it because the year he won 12 games, that Derrick Henry only played in half the games that year, and they still had a successful offense.
And the other running backs had
The other running backs are all
800
out of the
yards.
league. The other running backs are all out of the league because they weren't any good. They were coached up. He had a good offensive scheme.
Oh, stop,
He had, oh my God.
Yeah,
Ted.
a running game. A running game. Yeah, he relied on the running game.
How do you have a good running
That's
game?
the proof.
You have a good scheme. How did the Jets go from Thomas Jones, who led the NFL in rushing in 2009, to still having a good running game without him a year later?
Okay,
They had
Jake.
a good running scheme.
Okay, Jake.
They had a good offensive line coach. They had a
so-
good O-line.
So you're telling me like a team like the Bills or the Lions, they're basically going to run a 250-pound running back and win games? That's not how you win anymore.
What are you talking about? There's multiple ways to win. You win based on your personnel. Have you watched the Eagles play this year? Have you watched what Saquon Barkley's doing?
Yes.
Okay, so tell me how the Eagles might be the one seed in the NFC.
But they have elite talent everywhere. Elite everywhere.
Okay, and
yeah,
and you're proving my point.
And what?
You're proving my point. Oh
Okay.
my God!
My point is they
Ted,
have
any
a tremendous team.
Any other right? Okay, and I would say the Jets have a lot of talent too, including the talent to have a good running game and to have playmakers. You act like they didn't have A.J. Brown in Tennessee either. It wasn't just Derrick Henry. You still need good players, but the key is to get a coach who can maximize your talent and have a good scheme, hire a good staff. That's what Vrabel did well. He hired 2 OCs that became head coaches.
By the way, I did look that up. By the way, I did look that up. He had DeAndre Hopkins in 2023. Hopkins had 1,000 yards. 2022 was the only year they didn't have AJ Brown.
Oh my!
When he was traded, that was a bad year. That was a bad year. His receivers were horrible. I gotcha.
Oh my God! Any other points, Ted?
You want to shadow roll me, Jake? You want to
No,
shadow roll me, Jake?
I want to understand why you can't just take the L. Just acknowledge your initial take sucked, and then you tried to come up with fakakta bullshit to try and justify it when this all goes back to the fact you said you wouldn't hire Mike Vrabel because he's in the Patriots Ring of Honor, which is one of the dumbest things I have ever heard. And I listened to Gary talking about butter
an emotional take. I gotcha. I think that's an emotional take, Jake.
Let me ask you this, Ted. All right, you're doing a great job at stirring the pot today. Props to you. Who would you hire if not Mike Vrabel? Who's the number one guy you want to hire?
The guy from the Lions, the DC.
So you want Aaron Glenn as your number one choice?
100%.
Okay.
Yes,
if
he
not,
can fix our defense.
Okay.
He can fix our defense.
Yep.
He knows the culture. He's played here. He's a competent coach. They have a lot of injuries on their team, and they've seemed to play well. Obviously, this week they didn't play that well, but he understands how the Jets operate and how I think he would understand the fans and the culture of the Jets better than a Vrabel. You can't hate me for that one. Anything else?
Ted, thank you. God. You want a competent coach. That was your argument for Aaron Glenn. Sure. So let's not hire the guy who went to an AFC championship game with Ryan Tannehill, won 2 division titles, holds guys accountable, has experience, wouldn't be learning on the job. Feels like you have a pretty good floor with Mike Vrabel. I have no idea what Aaron Glenn will be. He might be a good coach. I mean, at least if you said like Brian Flores, I'd be like, all right. If you want someone that knows the culture, I guess, because you could say, oh, he's from Brooklyn. He knows the market. But, like, come on. God. Philly Noodles is up next. Hello, Philly.
Bro, that guy gets underneath my skin. He does the thing where he makes the take, and he just sits there like a chagrin, like, well, they're hitting home. No point hits home ever in the conversation.
He's wrong about everything. Everything. Literally, his gotcha point was he insinuated throughout the call until I checked him on it and made him look like a fool that the only reason why Vrabel won in Tennessee with bad quarterback play was Derrick Henry. So then I bring up the fact the year that they were the 1 seed, Derrick Henry missed half the season with an injury, and then he's talking about, well, they made up for it with their other running backs. Their other running backs, last I checked, their other running backs aren't future Hall of Famers, and they still were successful that year. Why? Because they had a good scheme, they had a good coaching staff, and it shows you, just like Mike Tomlin proves every year, if you have the right coach, you can remain competitive every year and be in the mix. And that was to the extreme that year.
Jake, he heard us. He heard you say 12-5, and he went, so what? First place. So what, bro? It's beyond shadow realm. It's like he wants to be shadow realmed.
I think he's honestly. If you told me he's trolling on purpose, like I might have to believe it. That's how I think outrageous the Vrabel takes are.
When he said so what, that's where my mind went right there. I said, wait, no, you're doing this.
Imagine being a Jet fan and just missing a 12-win season. That's happened once in the history of the Jet franchise.
We went to back-to-back AFC championships on ground and pound. So a guy who won more recently on ground and pound would be a bad idea. I like how that none of that makes any logical sense. But you know what, Ted? You're so right, bro. TED Talks, like those are brutal. That's a TED Talk. That's a bad TED Talk.
Gator, make an intro for Ted. I love it. A TED Talk.
That's a TED Talk. Oh my god! I want to be in that video just clowning him. Me and you just clowning him in the video.
I like Ted personally. He's a great guy. I just think he's out of his mind.
He's nice. He's nice as heck. Every time he calls, that's a weirder part. It's like he's nice. That's why I'm like, I don't want to like yell. I'm just like, oh my god, just stop, dude. So I was gonna come on here and originally just say, imagine a world where I tell you we had Aaron Rodgers for 3 years. And we went 5-12, but we had Zach Wilson and we went 7-10. That's the reality we're in. It'll all get fixed. I like Dimitroff. I really think he poses the best experience beside John Dorsey. I mean, I know they're going to interview other candidates, but the only thing that was weird that I brought up in the chat earlier was no one from the Commanders list yet has been scheduled for an interview. It feels like Woody gave a list that's so different than the Commanders list that we're seeing.
It's because a lot of the guys are working for teams right now. That's why they're not eligible to be interviewed. You can't talk to anyone that's with a team currently. That's why you've only heard about guys who are unemployed.
Yeah, I mean, I like Riddick. I'm not gonna lie, because I like his poignant takes where he just lets you know. But I mean, that could rub people the wrong way. Going in the media side, it doesn't matter. It's like a hot take for him versus rubbing someone the wrong way in reality. But Dimitroff, I think if you just stop there and Dorsey and maybe a couple of Bergonzi would be nice. I think for sure you got to interview that guy. But, I'm not going to sit here and come back with another AR take. It is what it is with Rodgers. If you haven't come back, like, please do us a favor as whoever the GM is going to be. You can't get Mason Graham, I feel like, will be gone, and I don't want another edge. So I think they should really trade back and try to just grab that kid Tyler Warren as tight end because he'll be the best option for tight end, I think, next year for being Tyler Conklin's literally the top free agent next year. So bring in that tight end.
I don't know if I'm doing that in the first round. I would take a tight end early though, but I'll say this: you don't want another edge. Why not? Why stack that D line, right? If you get the kid from Penn State, I'll take that guy with a top 10 pick for sure. Abdul Carter.
Well, he's a convert too because he wasn't even in that position. So I think it's a little too risky with him. There are other ones though. There's like four other edges.
Look, you can never go wrong taking a pass rush. Remember, people killed Joe Douglas from the McDonald pick. How's that working out? It turns out to be the right move. You know, you can't go wrong beefing up the line. And the Jets need help on defense. You know, it's crazy to say given how good this defense once upon a time was, but they need help on defense. Defensive tackle, defensive end. You got to remember too. You know, we all love Jermaine Johnson. He's coming off an Achilles next year. What if he's not himself the first half of the year? So you can't go wrong with a premium position when you're picking in the top 10. You go BPA, though. You don't reach when you're picking that high in this kind of draft. Good call by Philly. Dre checks in. You win games by scoring more points than the opponent. I agree. Apparently, the way Vrabel was winning wasn't good enough for Ted. He brings up his playoff record, too. What should his playoff record be with the quarterback he had? Can't we all get along? Yeah, we can. We hold people accountable for crap takes. Ladies and gentlemen, one of the greats is on the line right now. David T is next. What's up, David?
Hi, Jake. How are you, buddy?
The beard looks good, David.
Thank you very much. Yep. I guess when I got on before, you could only see like the top half of my face, but yeah, I've been something different. I've been growing it for a while, and every time I think of maybe I'll shave it off, I look at it like, nah, I like it. I'm going to keep it, you know. So, but anyway, on the subject of when you and Robby were on before, and you were talking about this Dimitroff, and I am a very impatient Jets fan, as I guess a lot of us are. So I want my general manager and coach yesterday. So I'm thinking, you know, hypothetically, if this guy and then you and Robby mentioned later that there's a connection between him and Vrabel. So I, you know, just hypothetically, if they feel that good about him and they think they could get Vrabel as coach, could they do it now? I know the logical thing is to interview more people, and you know they might have other people in mind and all that kind of stuff. But like I said, as an impatient fan,
you can't hire him. He works for a team right now.
Oh, okay. Oh, that's right. Vrabel does. Yes, you're right. Yes, I'm sorry. Okay. Yeah, and then you know you obviously you can't do the illegal tampering thing.
That is true. Well, you can talk to his agent though and be like, "Hey, like we want to interview you. Is he open to the job?" You know, there's ways through back channels to do it, but you can't officially interview him and you can't officially hire him until the season's over.
But you can contact his agent.
Yeah, of course you can. I mean, that happens all the time.
Okay, so but in letting you go, you and Rob, you know, and I know the logical thing is, you know, to keep on interviewing people, and I guess you can't interview some of the people till after the season's over. So I mean I know that's the way to go, but like I said, I'm an impatient Jets fan, so we try to speed things up a little bit.
Dre writes in, Santa David, all I want for Christmas is a Jets Super Bowl win.
I get the Santa thing. I get that all the time. I take that as very much a compliment. The latest one, when I went over to the coming back from the Jet Miami game, I got a Cuban Uber driver, and he told me that he was telling me all about Cuba and all that kind of stuff. Really nice man. And he said that I looked like I got the Fidel Castro look going on. So I don't know whether to take that as a compliment or not, but the Santa Claus thing, I love it. People, you know, and I always tell them I'm gonna get a job over at the mall this year and, you know, play Santa Claus, you know, for a part-time job.
How's your eye doing, David? It looks like it's very red.
Yeah, it's red, but don't let that deceive you. It's very comfortable, and I know it's still getting red or whatever, but it's it's very comfortable, and I guess it's still in getting down to the end of the road for the healing process. But I wear contact lenses, so sometimes you put them in, and the redness comes or whatever. But like when it gets that real deep red, that's like the diagnosis of eye irritation. So it's good. Everything is good, Jake. Thanks for asking.
Of course. We got to get you a Santa hat for your next call. I feel like the remaining calls this month, we should have you be Santa Claus when you call in.
I would be honored. Well,
I'll tell you what, David, you're one of the greats. Keep doing your thing, all right?
Okay. Thank you, Jake.
Ladies and gentlemen, the great David T. Check it in. We gotta get him a Santa hat, man. Love that. David's making a run in March. There's no doubt. Maybe we got to start selling Jake Asman Show Santa hats in the merch store. Omar says, "Oh my God, he laughs like Santa." David T, man, one of the greats. Alan says we definitely need a fatty next to Q. Absolutely, they do, because that will help open things up for Quinnen. 100%. I don't know if they're going to be in range for the Michigan guy, Graham, but we'll see. Who knows? Genergy says, wait, was that the old man in Home Alone? Maybe. Tom says, even David's laugh sounds like a ho, ho, ho. He does laugh like Santa. You're not wrong. You were not wrong. Ladies and gentlemen, that's the show. Thank you to everyone for the support. Couldn't have done it without you. We're back at 4 p.m. today for the film review. I'm going to be hosting a Jake Asman football show in just a little bit as well. So if you want it, you'll get 3 shows from me today. Once again, I want to thank everyone for your continuous support. Giveaways all month long. Still waiting to hear from Jimmy. Jimmy, I need your address. If you missed the show yesterday, you won one of the 2 Rodgers jerseys we raffled away. We got more giveaways coming up. Thanks again to everyone who tuned in. Thanks to Robby Sabo who joined us for the first hour of the show. I'll talk to you guys in a few short hours. As always, please like and subscribe to the channel if you want the show to survive and keep being live every day for Jet fans nationwide and watching around the globe. Have a good one, everybody.
Hello, Gary. I am going to kill you because you eat only butter. You need a salad like me.
Chick, you there?